LEGO introduced the Pirate line in 1989 with 10 sets. One of those sets was 6276, the Eldorado Fortress. That set was one of the cooler ones that LEGO introduced in '89, and it had 506 pieces and retailed for $66. And in case you're curious, $66 in 1989 is around $162 in 2023 money. What is up, everyone? My name is Matt, and this is my review of LEGO's new Eldorado Fortress. This is set number 10320, and it includes 2,509 pieces. That's over 2,000 pieces more than that original set. The new Eldorado Fortress retails for $215 here in the US. As basically a direct remake of that vintage set, LEGO took a different approach here than they did with something like the Lion Knight's castle, where they basically took all their amazing vintage castle sets and combined them into this mega castle that uses all kinds of contemporary techniques today. The Eldorado Fortress is more similar to something like the Galaxy Explorer, where they took a vintage set and just made it way better with more pieces and updated building techniques and stuff like that. As a bonus, this new set also includes this great little ship that was pulled almost directly from set 6277, the Imperial Trading Post. Now, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the packaging, but I really love the vintage styling that LEGO gave the Eldorado Fortress box. LEGO using real photography in a physical environment looks really great here. I love all the yellow all over the sides and top, and I really love the nostalgic feel of that yellow band with the blue text inside. When you look at the top, you see all those beautiful minifigures that come with the set, and it really helps to build a sense of excitement as you're starting to open this package. At a quick glance, this set looks really similar to that vintage set from '89. The most obvious difference is the use of that really tall elevated base plate in the vintage set. Those older style raised base plates haven't been used since 2011 when it was used on the Scorpion Pyramid. And while this set basically includes all the same components as that vintage one, it can be broken apart and expanded and reconfigured in so many different ways. I love this set. Additionally, by brick building this tall base here instead of using an elevated base plate, that allowed the designers to hide all kinds of cool caverns and caves and secrets and everything inside the base that they could not have done with that vintage set. That hidden cavern underneath the fortress is actually one of my favorite parts about this build. I'm so excited about it, and I can't wait to tell you about that later. For me, the building process for this set was actually really fun. I think I've just found that I really enjoy building environments and everything from system bricks. You sort of feel like you're discovering new things, and I really felt like I was exploring the fortress as I was building it. It was super fun. I love the massive amount of detail that LEGO was able to include in this set compared to the vintage one. From the texture and greebling on the rocks to all the greenery and seaweed and everything, and all the different animals, from the crabs and the parrot and the monkey, and guns and muskets and keys laying all over the fortress. I loved building this set. It was so fun. And I don't want this next part to detract at all from how amazing this build is, but there were a couple instances where it felt like LEGO was artificially inflating the piece count to make it look like a better value, maybe using 12 tiny pieces where they really could have just used one long piece. In general, LEGO uses way more and smaller pieces than they do in those vintage sets, which allows them to include all this amazing detail that we see in a set like the Eldorado Fortress. But when they do something like use 10 or 12 little tiny small pieces where they could have just used one long piece, it feels a little cheesy, you know? I also know there are a lot of people who kind of hate building big ugly rock pieces and make fun of it and don't enjoy that part of LEGO. I'm not one of those people, for better or worse, and maybe I'm just crazy, but I actually really enjoyed building the stone base of this set. I think because it's so dense with other detail and different kinds of pieces that you notice the cavern and the secrets and everything being included in there, and it really makes it a little bit more interesting, to me anyway. But there were 0 stickers in this set, so that's great. The Eldorado Fortress comes with 4 instruction manuals. Each of those manuals handles 1 or 2 large components from this set, which makes this a really great set to build with a friend. Or if you want to invite 5 of your best LEGO friends over to knock this thing out in 1 or 2 hours, you totally could. This set comes with 8 minifigures, 6 Imperial troops to man the fortress, and 2 pirates. The original set came with a Dread Pirate Redbeard, which is not included in this set because Redbeard was included in the Black Seas Barracuda, which I do not have, unfortunately. Sad face. So in this set, old Redbeard has been replaced with a new minifig, the Dread Privateer Melinda. We're gonna start with the Admiral, who the instructions say is not the same person that came with that original set, Admiral Broadside, but I don't know, I mean, he looks a lot like Admiral Broadside. Whatever his name is, he looks like he's getting pretty close to retirement. The Admiral comes with a really cool printed chest piece and gold epaulets or pauldrons or whatever those things are called. and a really cool hat with nice printing on it. The Admiral here comes with a great looking aged face with a gray beard. He does not come with any leg printing, but he does have a really cool sword and he knows how to use that thing. He will mess up some pirates. Turning the Admiral around to the back, we can see that that great printing extends to the other side of his chest piece. He does not come with a second face, thankfully, because that would look really stupid. Next, we've got two officers, a more senior officer with gold epaulets or shoulder pieces, and a more junior officer with red ones. They're wearing a blue coat with a white vest underneath, and that coat has black and gold printing on it. Looks really, really nice. Both of these officers appear to be female, and are wearing these really cool tricorn hats with their long hair incorporated into them. The officer on the left has a really large, ornate, cool red plume in her hat, and the officer on the right has a tiny little baby plume. Turning the officers around, we can see that that great printing extends to the other side of their chest. The more senior officer has brown hair, while the junior officer has blonde. Removing their hats and hairpieces reveals their second faces. These are the only minifigures in this set to include two faces, by the way. Next, we've got three Imperial soldiers, and they all look great. They are all identical, except for their one-sided faces. They have the same detailed printing on their chest pieces with the white and gold and black ink, red epaulets, these really tall, cool Shako hats. They all come with muskets because they're not going to let any pirates take their gold. If we remove their tall Shako hats, we can see that that soldier on the left has this really great inquisitive expression and this oldie-timey twirled mustache. I love that thing. The soldier in the middle has long eyelashes, so I think that's probably supposed to be a female character. Her mouth is open like she's about to say something. I assume she's trying to make a joke about her friend's awesome mustache. All these soldiers have red epaulets, although the one on the right has an older aged face compared to the other two, so I'm going to assume he really messed up somewhere in his military career. If we turn these soldiers around, we can see that they've all got on this really cool, tall, large leather backpack. It looks awesome. I assume these guys are ready for anything. Who knows what's in there? I'm just gonna say a tiny bit about the printing on these minifigs. All the soldiers have white ink on them, but they clearly only have one layer of white ink, and it looks really washed out and faded and not great. I really, really wish LEGO would spend the time and effort and money to put more than one coat of white ink on these minifigs so they looked really solid and great. Don't get me wrong, these minifigs look nice and I like the way they turned out, but they could have been so much better if LEGO used more than one coat of white ink on them so it was really opaque and nice looking and sharp. Next, we're gonna move on to our male pirate figure who's so awesome. I love this guy. His green pants look really good. I wish I had some. His chest piece looks so good with the red and white stripes on there and that cool brown rope belt. What a bum. He's got a great looking red cap made with a cloth tied around his head or something. But the best part about this guy is his face. I love it. He's got this expression like, "Arr, the hot pants." It's a real pirate mood. One eye is wide open and the other one's completely missing and covered by a patch, but that's what you get for going against the Admiral. When we turn him around to the back, we can see that great printing of his shirt continuing onto the other side and the other side of that great rope belt. Finally, we've got the Dread Pirate Melinda. Melinda looks awesome here with her ruffled white pirate shirt. She's got this little tiny skull necklace or something which looks really awesome. She's also got this cool waistcoat with some kind of wide belt that looks really good. She comes with a black hairpiece that shapes her face pretty nicely. She's got this great expression that says she just wants to get things done. Turning her around to the back, we can see how great that hairpiece looks from the other side and the amazing printing we've got going on the other side of her chest. Surprisingly enough, she only has the one face. Alright, finally, let's get to the main build itself, the Eldorado Fortress, and this thing is a beast. Like the instructions, this set can broadly be divided into 6 main components. Those are the Imperial ship, the dock, the crane tower, the prison tower, the entrance ramp, and the supply tower. I currently have the fortress combined into its most compact form with everything surrounding a central courtyard. Everything attaches together nicely with these clips that LEGO has included strategically throughout the base. It's truly a fortress here with all the towers and walls and cannons and everything. There's a dock out front and a ramp extending up the side to allow access to the fortress. When you walk up the ramp, you make a right turn after you pass through the gate, and you find yourself in this central courtyard. This configuration is basically identical to the one you can find in that vintage Eldorado set from '89. So now we're going to break it apart and look at each section individually. Let's start with the ship, just because it's a separate piece. It's really great to see this set included and carried over from the old Imperial trading post. It matches up perfectly with the idea of this beautiful seaside fortress with a dock. It comes with 3 fabric sails, which I know is going to make a lot of people really, really happy. The updated white hull looks really, really great here and uses some new, sleek, smooth pieces to really get a nice looking boat shape out of this thing. That yellow and red color scheme looks really, really nice and classic and makes its way from the flags on top to the detailing at the bow and back of the ship. I don't know ships. And I know that I'm in the minority when I say that I really, really like the brick-built sails from the 3-in-1 pirate ship behind me over there. But these fabric sails look really, really nice. The printing is great. They're scaled beautifully for this ship, and I think they look really nice on here. We also get this great little rowboat with a Jolly Roger flag on the back for the pirates to use as they're sneaking their way around the fortress. Next, we're going to take a look at the dock. It's the smallest part of the fortress that we have to build. This little build is the courtyard when it's placed in the middle of the fortress, but it becomes the seaside dock when you have this fortress spread out into its longest form. It's simple, but it has this really great rock terrain on one side and these 4 black pillars that stand up from the water. I love the dark green seaweed that you can find underneath the dock along the water. We've got a table here that looks really nice with 4 stools set around it, 2 bowls, 2 cups, and a bottle of wine or maybe rum. This table looks really nice and makes a lot of sense when it's set up in the middle of the courtyard. It looks a little bit funny when you have it set up on the dock. I don't know, maybe they're having a party or something? Next, we're gonna look at the crane tower, which is awesome. I love this little build. This crane slaps. You can rotate it around 360 degrees. You can raise and lower the cargo you've got on it. This little cargo area comes with these tough chains that look really awesome. There's a chest that it's carrying here that has 2 flintlock pistols inside, so that's pretty cool. Looks like they're getting ready for battle. Raising and lowering the cargo here is pretty fun and works really well. You just turn these little knobs at the back. It's pretty cool. There's a little ladder on the side so minifigs are able to get up to that crane. On the middle level, there's a whole bunch of cannonballs for ammunition, an empty barrel, and a sack of what could be grain. If we peek down to the lower level, we can see that there's a tunnel underneath, but we're gonna get to that later. Next up is the prison tower. This thing looks amazing. It also holds the door to the biggest secret in the entire fortress. The prison tower is built in an L shape, and it has a lot of really great rock greebling and texture on one side, and a whole bunch of additional rocks and plant life and a crab on the other side. There's a little waterfall coming from underneath the fortress, but where's that water coming from? Well, we're gonna find out. The tower itself is made with these really beautiful white and yellow bricks with these exposed red bricks sort of sprinkled throughout the exterior. It looks really, really great and gives it a weathered look that's perfect for this set. The door next to the prison has a little key next to it so it can be easily locked and unlocked. By removing the roof of the prison and by removing one of the windows on the side, you can get a really nice view of the inside of that prison cell. It's not a very nice place to sleep with just a few pieces of straw for prisoners to sleep on. If you do find yourself a prisoner of one of the Imperials, then luckily you're not going to have to stay there for very long if you know what you're doing, because there's a trap door hidden inside the floor. When a minifigure goes down that trapdoor, they fall right outside the waterfall and escape through that side entrance. This feels like the Goonies. From the top of the tower, you can take a ladder down on the side to this little platform where there's a secret door hidden in the floor there as well. If you open that trapdoor, there's another ladder that goes down the side wall of that interior, and there you can find all kinds of treasure. A big treasure chest with stuff inside, gold bars, a sack of treasure. It's pretty amazing. Is this Imperial treasure and this is where they store it? Or is this an area where the pirates have secretly stored their treasure and they're looking for it? I don't know. On the other side of that L, you've got a tight little chamber with just enough room for a minifigure to squeeze in there. It wasn't quite enough room for our friend here who's a skeleton now wearing a red cap. So looks like maybe that was a pirate who found his way down there and was looking for that treasure and got stuck. I wonder what our now skeleton friend was looking for. Next is what I'm gonna call the supply tower. On the outside, we've got, again, what I think is a lot of really beautiful texture from the rock pieces and greebling and the plant life and everything like that. There's a little bit of a beach here with these sand tiles with rounded edges and these 2 beautiful palm trees. They help to give a really nice tropical vibe to the Eldorado Fortress. On the main level, we've got an empty barrel and a sack of grain or something like that, and a broom for cleaning up after yourself. There's a ladder here, and if we take that ladder all the way up to the top of the tower, we can see that there's a rotating cannon, which is pretty awesome. And there's also a parrot to talk to if you're stationed up there. Naturally, this cannon also fires for real, so let's try it out right now. It's super fun. Get wrecked, pirates! Lastly, if we look at those hidden caverns underneath, we've got a few barrels of wine there, with one has a tap on it, and some of that wine is spilling out onto the floor. There's a little green frog who has somehow survived down there, and that passageway continues on the outside, and you can see it when you turn it over. Finally, the main and most awesome and large and impressive part of the Eldorado Fortress is this beautiful entrance ramp and tower. Because this set is not on one of those older style raised base plates, we get to brick build this ramp, and I love the way it turned out. The combination of the texture and the dark gray and light gray and all the different kinds of pieces they were able to use on this ramp feels really great. It really feels like an old cobblestone path, and all the different angles they were able to incorporate into it and the way that they were able to achieve the angle that this ramp is at was really, really cool. It was so fun to build. If you're at all interested in this set, I can't wait for you to build it. And if you already have, tell me what you thought of it down in the comments. On the front side of our fortress, we've got this long dock in black here. Next to the path, there's a little bit of a beach where we've got our monkey sitting and he looks super cool. There's another rotating cannon here for the fortress's defense. For anyone who makes their way up that ramp, I hope you're friendly because there's two really cool angled guns that you can position up at the top that you can swivel around. They look so good. There's another weapon rack just inside the gate. This is a very well-armed fortress. There are a lot of soldiers here and they need to eat, so there's a little fire pit with a stove or on the side. There's a sack of grain or something next to that little oven, and a torch and a little key for that front gate. On the upper floor of the tower, we've got the Admiral's office. His door to the balcony looks so good. It's covered in studs and it's thick and tough looking. I love the way this turned out. He's got a desk with a map and a candle and a pen and ink there. At the very, very top of this fortress, there's yet another cannon that swivels 360 degrees and the Imperial flag, which looks really, really good here. At the very bottom, in the hidden cavern underneath that ramp, we've got a cave or something with a barrel with treasure inside. Now, finally, we get to the part I've been really looking forward to telling you about. There's one last little cool Easter egg hidden in this set, and it's so interesting. In the instruction manual for the underground cavern part of this build, there's a little bit of text that says, "A hidden letter? Whom could it be from? Who can solve this mystery?" This is going to be a little bit hard to illustrate, but I'm going to show you how I think someone is supposed to get into those secret caverns and where that hidden letter is found. If you remember in the prison tower, there was that trapdoor where underneath that trapdoor there was a treasure chest and a bunch of treasure and gold bars. That's, I think, where now the Imperials keep their treasure currently. On the other side of that L, there's that tiny little tight hidden chamber where someone got trapped down there and died. When this fortress is in its most compact form, if you follow that tunnel all the way through, it continues through to the underside of the crane tower. If you follow that stone path underneath the crane tower, it continues along under there and ends at this stone wall. If you dig around in that wall, you'll find that there's a stone container. And what can you find inside that secret hidden stone container? If you open that stone container, there's a letter inside. And LEGO doesn't want you to know this, but that letter says that if you read this thing, it's terrible. And that's where the real treasure is. I think that pirate was hiding that letter, and when he was down there, part of the cavern fell underneath him, and that cavern originally extended and made its way into that area where their Imperials are now storing that treasure, and you could take that trapdoor up, but then it became closed off and he got stuck down there. So that's the Eldorado Fortress, and I think this set is amazing. I had such a fun time building this. There are so many cool little details and Easter eggs and stories in this thing. I really, really love this set, and I hope you do too. This has probably been my favorite set to build since the Lion Knight's Castle was released about a year ago. That set is near perfection, and I have a review on my channel if you'd like to watch that. If you at all are into the pirate theme, I recommend this set. I think you're gonna love it. All right, later nerds.